Hey guys, I'm AfroGeek PlusUltraNappy and welcome back to a brand new video. So in today's movie review, I'm going to be reviewing one of my favorite movies of all time. It's actually my favorite movie of all time, believe it or not. And that film I'm talking to you guys about is... So before I jump into this video, I just want to say that if you haven't seen this, I'm sorry, there will be spoilers. But if you haven't seen this, like I just said, you're definitely living under a rock. Because this movie came out when I was like in middle school. I was like, what? 13, 14 when this movie came out. This movie came out 10 years ago. Definitely go watch it. It's really good. And it's based off of a graphic novel series, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Yes, it was a very good movie. They definitely did leave a lot of stuff out from the graphic novel, sure. But overall, this movie was so funny. I loved the cast and everybody did a really good job. Michael Cera is one of my favorite actors. I don't know what it is about him, but I just like movies with him in it. He's a really good actor and he did a really good job of playing Scott Pilgrim. I was blown away by his performance, especially with the rest of the cast. They did a really good job. I just want to give you guys a quick rundown of the film, then I will tell you guys a little bit of differences between the two. But overall, Scott Pilgrim is about a guy who is in a band called Sex Bomb, and he meets this girl named Ramona at a party that people are telling him not to get engaged with. So of course he gets engaged with Ramona. The two hit it off, and because of that, he now has to basically fight her 7 evil ex-boyfriends. Her evil ex-boyfriends are something else, because first off, I would not date any girl. If I was dating some girl and she told me, oh yeah, now that we're a thing, you're gonna have to fight my 7 evil ex-boyfriends. Nah, you gonna have to fight your evil ex-boyfriends. Nah, I'm out. So you get the first evil ex called Matthew Patel, and Scott in the movie fights him at Sex Bomb's first gig in the Battle of the Bands. I don't even know how to describe him. The only thing I remember was people were like basically calling him like a pirate, and then I just remember he was like, pirates are in this year. And it was the funniest shit. And then Scott was like, what do I do? And then Wallace is yelling, fight! And then he just unplugs his bass and just starts whooping ass. And the funny thing is, with this movie, a lot of the cast members had to learn how to play instruments. I believe the only one who knew how to play the instruments was Michael Cera, because Michael Cera does music. He knows how to play, I think, piano, bass, regular guitar. He's fighting Matthew Patel, and he has like these flames and stuff, and it's just the most ridiculous thing ever. And it's just like, what the fuck is going on? But, you know, Scott wins. And I like how at the end, he's just like, ooh, coins. And he's just picking up coins. And he's acting like as if nothing ever happened. You know, and there's a couple, like, you know, scenes where him and Ramona sleep together, but they don't show it. I don't know if they actually slept together or not. Maybe they just might have made out a lot in the movie. But I love seeing the Scott Pilgrim memes where it's like goth girls and their pro player boyfriends. So, like, later on a little bit in the movie, him and Wallace visit a movie set where they're filming in, I believe it was Toronto. It's this guy named Lucas Lee, who was played by Chris Evans. Most of you may know him as the Human Torch in the old Fantastic Four movies from the early 2000s, Captain America, from the Marvel MCU series. And he plays Lucas Lee, who is Ramona's second evil ex-boyfriend, who is an actor, famous pro skateboarder, and a stuntman. And he's like this big hot shot, and he has this macho, deep voice attitude. That's funny. Yeah, I'll take a latte. It's hilarious. Like that kind of shit. It's so funny. And I think Chris Evans really did a good job nailing this character down. And the whole fight with him and Scott, it's so funny because Scott gets his ass whooped, but at the same time, Lucas gets his ass whooped by Scott. It's funny when you see someone who's bulky like Chris Evans and he's just getting milly rocked by someone who's kind of scrawny. Obviously, you know, it's not legit real fighting. I'm sure they got like a stunt for Michael Cera, and maybe Chris Evans didn't have a stunt double. But in the movie, his character Lucas Lee did have a bunch of stunt doubles. Alright, he was a stunt actor himself, but he also had like extra, like stuntmen, group of people who dispersed from like behind him, and he's like, I'm nothing without my crew. It's the most randomest shit. Scott like gets jumped at one point by these guys, and then Scott ends up fighting off all of his crew, and the way he wins that fight is he tricks him into grinding on a rail this huge flight of stairs, and he ends up going at like 300-400 miles per hour, and he just explodes. He was just like, oh, I didn't get his autograph. him and Ramona are still kind of hitting it off. Knives has like her little moment where she's like, oh my god, Scott cheated on me with this bitch. And she dresses like Ramona, or tries to dress and act like Ramona, and she starts dating young Neil. Ex-girlfriend Envy, real name Natalie, she has her band come through in town, and her band is real big. The bass player, I think he was a bass player, who's played by Brandon Roof, was the third evil ex-boyfriend. His name was Todd, and he was a vegan, and because he was a vegan, he had all these vegan powers that made him like have like telekinesis and super strength. Favorite scene, one of my favorite scenes of this movie, when him and Scott were in that bass battle, and they were just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Punch Scott all the way up like into the atmosphere and shit. And Scott ends up tricking him to drink coffee or a latte with actual whole milk in it. And the vegan police show up, which is the stupidest thing. He got caught eating, I think he got caught eating chicken. No, the first time he got caught eating eggs. That was his first violation. The second time he got caught was with chicken. And so they like de-veganized him and took away his vegan powers, and he was no longer vegan. He headbutted him and he exploded into coins. Not to mention that same night he has to fight her fourth evil ex, Roxy, who was a girl. It's funny because he's just like, you know, he's so confused as to, where you hooked up with a girl? And then Ramona's like, I was bi-curious, and Roxy's like, well, I'm a little bi-furious. And it's just like, oh my god. You see Ramona pull out this big ass motherfucking hammer, and then they both are going at it. You know, Roxy's like, no, I'm not fighting you, bitch, I'm fighting your man. Basically, Ramona like grabs Scott, and she's like fighting for him, like using him as like a puppet fighting. Scott defeats her by using pointing her at her weak spot, which is like behind her leg and stuff like that. It was like a weak spot that I guess made her like orgasm or something. I don't know. Later on, Scott and Ramona get in this big fight. They kind of take a break, and the band has to battle the Kazanagi twins. I probably butchered the fuck out of their names, but it's Kyle and Ken, the two Japanese twins who are like, they do like techno music. And that scene where it's like Sex Bomb versus them, and Gideon's in the crowd, and whoever wins this, I gets to perform at Gideon's new club that he's opening up. And the two have, of course, a stereotypical like these Chinese, like these Japanese dragons, and then, you know, Sex Bomb has like this green gorilla. It's so fucking dope. Oh my gosh, it's so fucking awesome, because at first it's like Sex Bombs getting their ass whooped, but then they like really put a pedal in the metal to it, and they really like amp up the volume. Scott defeats the twins, and then it just is left to Gideon. The first time around, he goes in there, tries to get Ramona back, and I like the scene where it's like, Scott, earn the power of love, and pulls out this sword, and he's fighting Gideon. Knives comes in, and then Ramona comes in. They all start whooping Gideon's ass. Gideon stabs Scott. It's this whole ordeal because the band's like, you know, I'm sorry, Scott, we performed without you. You know, we just really need the money, and we need the publicity so we can become big. Jason Schwartzman, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, did a really good job playing Gideon. And then, you know, it's like this whole thing where Scott earns an extra life after he has this whole deal where he's like, I'm dead, I'm alone. He earns an extra life. He redoes everything that he did previously, but it's like fast forwarded where he punches all like the guards and the entry guys or whatever. And then he goes back, tells the band they sound way better without him, and Neil's a better player than he is. Instead of young Neil, he's been promoted to Neil. He apologizes to Kim for hurting her because those two dated, and he apologizes to Knives and Ramona because he said that he cheated on both of them with each other. They have this whole thing where, you know, Knives and Scott use what they did when they would go to the arcade and play that ninja dancing game on Gideon, all those moves, and they whooped Gideon's ass. Scott winds up this kick and just kicks the shot at Gideon and wins, and I think he gets like 1 billion coins or 1 trillion coins, and all these fucking coins just come pouring down. And then the bandmates are kind of scooping up this all the money, because one of them's just like, what about our deal? And he's like, shit, just scooping all these coins up in his shirt. In this movie, there are 2 alternate endings too with this, which I didn't know. One where Scott gets back together with Knives, Ramona leaves and goes off somewhere. Both endings have Nega Scott, where, you know, he has to fight Nega Scott, but they end up hitting it off and they go get brunch, so no fight happens between those two. But The actual ending is with him and Knives officially breaking up, just making peace with each other. It's a happy thing though. It's nothing like too heartbroken or too terrible. It's a happy thing. And Scott and Ramona go off, start a new life with each other, and the whole movie is just almost like one big video game. And let me tell you, the Scott the Pilgrim video game is really fucking fun, and I think it's on the Switch now, which I need to get because I played on the Xbox Arcade because that was like the only place it was really available, and now I think it's available on the Switch. And the graphic novel series is so good. So some differences from the graphic novel and the movie are, in the graphic novel, like I mentioned earlier, Scott is 23 and he turns 24 in the graphic novel, but in the movie he's 22, and it's insinuated that he turned 23, but no one ever said anything. It's just assumed that he turned 23. Either that or nothing's even insinuated that he turned 23. It's just a shorter period of time and he just remains 22. Ramona in the graphic novel and the movie, she changes her hair frequently, so that's some similarity, but I think she mentioned different time periods where she does it. I'm not too sure, but in the movie she goes through 3 different hairstyles: pink, blue, and green. So Lisa Miller and a couple other characters like Holly aren't introduced in the movie, but they were like kind of like side characters and characters who were in Scott's life in the graphic novel did not appear in the movie. The fight with Roxy, and I think in the graphic novel Scott defeats her with gaining the power of love, but in the movie he gets that at the climax battle while battling Gideon. But there's a lot of different behind the scenes things you guys can look up online and stuff like that, but that's just a few I can remember. I remember one about some girl that Scott was seeing. Now, you know, there's more flashbacks with him and Kim. A lot of other stuff that you can check out that was from the graphic novel that didn't make it in the movie. You know, there's a lot of deleted scenes from the movie. And then also, you gotta also understand that when you do a movie based off of a graphic novel series, every single detail, some characters will get cut, some stuff will get cut, and it will be important to the story sometimes, and then they'll just rewrite it because it's a film adaptation. But overall, the movie was really good. The soundtrack was fucking amazing. Like, it's so good, you even got Lil Uzi Vert, him jamming out to it. His mixtapes were inspired by Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. The music in the movie was really good. The soundtrack was created by Beck. Beck wrote some songs for the soundtrack, and I am a huge Beck fan. Like, I love Beck. He's a really good artist. The music was good. The story was good. I think it did some justice to the graphic novel series. They could have added some more stuff in from the graphic novel, but overall, I thought the movie was really good, and I absolutely love it. And if you haven't seen this movie, first off, you're lacking if you haven't seen this movie. Second of all, go watch this movie. And I'm sorry there were spoilers in it, but I should have left hopefully a little reminder before the video even started that there will be spoilers in this. But if you guys enjoyed, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of 2020. And if you want to catch more from me as far as content wise, check out my main channel, Pokemon86, and check out my links in the description below to my social media accounts. I'm talking Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Patreon, and TikTok. And if you want to do more to support me in the future as well as this channel, check out my Patreon account. I got different tier rewards for different tier members, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. I am AfroGeek PlusUltraNappy, and your boy is shut up.